Welcome back to the Apprentice One-to-One podcast sponsored by Schneider Electric. Today we have Ceri from Crannis Technology Services coming along to speak about CVs and applying for electrical apprenticeships, in particular for school leavers. Welcome back to the Apprentice One-to-One podcast. It's me, Mark, again, and I am joined by Ceri, who's come back to have another chat with us. How are you, Ceri?
I'm fine, thanks. How are you?
I'm really good. Thanks again for coming back on. As I said, you're always welcome, and I know we've got a good topic to speak about today. I listened back to your podcast the other day, actually, as well, on Hit the Lights with Gary. That was a good one.
Yeah. Thank you.
It's nice to see other people offering their opinions on things and getting involved with the chat. So it's good to hear your thoughts and experiences and stuff. This one's a really important one. It's to do with apprentices applying for jobs. It's one of the questions I get asked loads. I've had a very bad attempt at giving some advice. I'm very mindful. It's just my opinion that I share when I do that. So I like to get other people's thoughts. You're an employer as well. So we've come together today to have a little chat and share your pearls of wisdom as well.
Yeah, hopefully so.
So are you still on that journey of trying to recruit apprentices at the minute? You're trying to still get them in through the door?
Curtis, who I've talked about previously, he's actually working on a summer job with us up until his GCSE results are out in the end, towards the end of August. But there is a vacancy for somebody else. So we put the feelers out to the college. We've had 3 people that the college have recommended. One was highly recommended, so I was super excited, and when I rang him, it was, hello. Hi, this is Ceri Crannis of Crannis Technology Services. I understand you're looking for an apprenticeship, electrical apprenticeship. Yeah. Okay, I was just wondering if you'd like to come on a trial. Yeah, I'll think about it. Oh, okay. We have got the opportunity for you to have a summer job if you're interested. Got an interview at McDonald's on Thursday, part-time. Oh, okay. So I left it at that. I gave some feedback to the college, and he did then contact me again and said, I'm really sorry. I would love to have the opportunity of doing a trial. And I was like, we've got so many other people that are actually interested. Take the feedback. So I gave him some feedback. Felt a little bit harsh, but when we are looking for that little chink of something special in somebody, if they were that passionate about becoming an electrician, the fact that I rang should be enough to, wherever you are, if it's in a difficult situation or I've caught you unawares, move yourself to a position where you can actually take the phone call, because this is your chance. You're not going to get many of those, calling out of the blue saying, do you want a job? And yeah, it was shocking. So got another couple. We always invite people on trial because we want to see how practical they're going to be on site. It's really interesting when they do come on site to see how often they look at their phones, to see how engaged they are. If they'll ask questions, we love people to be really inquisitive. We had someone this week, and our chap said they would be able to log into his phone because his phone was out so much they knew his password. Not a great sign. But yeah, I think, do you feel sorry for these children, these youths, that they've not had, and it's only really dawned on me in the last couple of weeks, the fact they've missed out from 2 years of education just doesn't mean they've missed out on subject content, but they've missed out on all of the, I was going to say boring stuff, but all the important stuff from like PSHE, where they did do like the CV writing how to write a formal letter, interview practice. They've missed out on all of that. And when is it any surprise that when we get the information through, it is in text language? It's not, they're not talking to a professional because they haven't been engaging with professionals.
You don't know what you don't know at the end of the day, do you? It is, and like you say, it's all that they've missed out. The work experience as well that you normally get when you're in school, you get a week of that, don't you, usually? And none of that's been happening. So yeah, we do have to factor that in. It is difficult because first impressions count. We've all taken those phone calls where you're like, oh, who is it? Can't really be doing with this. But instantly when you hear it's an important customer, or you change your mindset, P's and Q's come out and you speak politely. It's one of the best tips is to know your audience when you are speaking with certain people. And, you know, turning that, it's not a negative, but that experience into a positive, you've come up with some ideas and suggestions to help some of these youngsters who haven't had that experience in school. We've got a few tips and we'll call them tricks as well to help get through the door and have an interview and maybe have a successful outcome with that. That's a nice thing for us to do today, I think. So you've produced this list that you've sent on to me. I think it's really good. So we've got, are we going to base the chat around that, do you think, or is there another angle on this you want to go down?
No, I think that we can do it on that if you like. It's just it's knowing how to get the message across, isn't it? And we want it to be in an interesting way, which is obviously hopefully what this chat is going to do, but also for well, one of the first points was make the contact yourself, don't get your mum to do it. That also, you know, a lot of parents are out there searching for these apprenticeships. So if this comes up for a parent looking to support their child, and it directs them to the document or the handout that we're going to do, then that's got to be a way of just getting the message across of how we can help, because we've already spoken that how it can be in education, and how education might not be giving the correct message across to the students. But if it's coming from the industry, it's you know, from us in the industry, what we're looking for, then hopefully it will be of benefit to a number of individuals.
I think so. And that's a great point about the parents, because I get a lot of DMs from parents who are trying to find their kids jobs, which is great. They're just trying to help them. And often it's a hard message for them to try and get the kids to have the confidence to step forward and have those discussions themselves. And like you said, a lot of them are children. It is that is the case. So it is difficult. It's like that.
I can understand why the parents are going to do that first point of contact, because they don't want to have their child rejected time and time again. And that's one of the things that I really desperately want to put across is, if you are an electrical firm and you've had somebody contact you asking for an apprenticeship, if you're not taking anybody on, or if you're not available for extra work or whatever, just let them know. I think it's really hard when you speak to the students and they've said that they've contacted everybody and they've not heard back from anybody. It doesn't take a lot to say, I'm sorry, we're not looking, or we might be able to offer you a trial, but nothing more. There's no harm in just giving them some reply, even if you can't help them.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. And like, there's a lot of apprentices who message saying, I've emailed 300 firms in the local area and I've literally heard nothing back. And there's probably an element of exaggeration in some of those examples, but they're still not getting any message back. And so, good point. Even if you can't help someone at that time, just let them know, sorry, you know, we're not in a position to employ anybody, but if we are, I've got your CV for the future. There's nothing wrong with that.
We might know somebody locally that is looking, you know, there might not be an advert. I mean, we only put our advert out on social media, so that's the only way that people would know that we were looking for someone. And the way that we set up our business, we're not necessarily just going to put an advert out and take on anybody. We're looking for that right fit. I'd much prefer to bide my time and find somebody that's going to work well with us for a long period of time than just thinking, panicking, I'll get someone in, that will do for a little while. That's not how I want to employ people.
No, and it's a really common way of doing it. Scott Clark just yesterday, he's based up in Beverley near me. he did a similar thing to you. He's created a post on social media. He's trying to find an apprentice, and that's how he's advertising. So I now know that as a local contractor. I mean, I'll get a lot of people in touch with me asking for jobs anyway, but if I didn't, I now know, you know, Scott's looking for someone, I can point them at that person. So yeah, keep your eyes out and don't be turning people away without a second thought, because it's not nice.
No.
But coming back to your list, there is elements of stuff that's more modern, and I mentioned that in the video I did before to do with social media profiles, but it starts with the basics, and it's the most important one anyone can do, I think, and that's having a CV.
I know it's really old school. I know it's a little bit boring about how to set it out, but maybe you can get the key information into a different way. But we do need to know your age. We do need to know your date of birth. We need to know what your predicted grades are. Unfortunately, which I think even some of the parents have been contacting me, they think it's entering a trade is an easy option. And it's not. It's hard, it's difficult. You're going to need your English and maths and your science realistically. It's not an easy one to go into. So we really do need to see those predicted grades, or the grades that you've achieved. Absolutely vital. So however you want to display that, if in a typical CV or any other interesting way, but get the information to us.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you've said, we need those basics because it affects how we are going to employ you, and you're getting you into a college at the end of the day. It doesn't work if you don't have them in place, or at least the potential to have them in place. And you can also highlight other areas of interest that might be relevant as well. If you're part of a sports club or you have other interests and things, something that might resonate with an employee, get all of that in there as much as you can. When you're young, there's not a lot you can put in because you haven't really done an awful lot. So get as much in there as you can.
But I think what was my train of thought there? My train of thought was about,
I've distracted you by waffling on about putting
just going to jump in, and I was like, oh damn, I've forgotten now.
It'll come back to you, I'm sure.
CVs, it was, I think sometimes people can think we're being mean by saying, unfortunately, if you've not got the level 4s and 5s, then we can't consider you. It's not the fact that we're being mean and we're only looking for the intelligent ones. It's there is expectation from the college that you need to have that, and also we don't want you to fail. So if you do need to resit your English and maths at college in the next year to try and improve those grades, that will give you the opportunity of getting on to an apprenticeship the following year. Because when you start going through the course content, there's a lot of maths and you are going to need your English. So it's not like we're just being teachers that stand in front of you saying your GCSEs are important, because they are, but you actually are going to need those in order to complete the course.
Yeah, 100%. You need to get your grades in order. It's all part of the journey, isn't it? Unfortunately, there's certain hoops you've got to jump through and grades you've got to make to progress your career, and it all starts with the GCSEs. So if you are watching this as a school leaver, you've probably already done your exams anyway, I think, by now, haven't they?
Yeah, they'll be waiting anxiously for their results.
It's too late to affect change now, but let's hope they come out good for you.
Yeah.
And alongside the CV as well, as I also like to get a cover letter. That's one of the old school things I like to receive. It's not everyone's cup of tea, but setting out in a written form why you would want to work for a company, I think that's a really powerful thing to do as well. And you've got that on your list, the list too.
Yeah, I think just when you're having to write a couple of paragraphs about yourself, we can see your ability to write. We can tell the type of person that you are, whether there is going to be punctuation, spelling mistakes. That is your opportunity to tell us about you. We don't know anything about you, so there must be, everyone's got something interesting about them. That's your opportunity to say, hey, look at me, you want me, you need me to in your company because I'm this, that and the other. One of the things I said was about promote yourself. You do promote yourself, sell yourself to the company, but at the same time, don't be arrogant like I'm the best in the world and you need me, because that's going to make us think, you're not going to be able to take direction if you need it.
Yeah, it's so true. You don't want to be showing off, but you can get stuff in there that I've seen your company vans driving around, and I was really impressed with your team and whatever. It looks really exciting, and I'd love to be a part of that. And then just stuff you've done as well at school, if you've been in any clubs or whatever. There's all sorts of things you can pile in there just to draw attention and stand out a little bit. You know, it's really competitive trying to get a role as an electrical apprentice. So any measure you can take to stand out, just that little tiny bit that'd help you do it, that's your opportunity.
I do like to see when applicants have taken part in like a school sports team, or they've done some babysitting for younger siblings, because it shows that they're not just, and we also have candidates that have just put gaming as their interest, and there's nothing wrong with gaming, but if that's the only thing that you can say about yourself that you do in your spare time, I think you need to try and find some more hobbies.
There is that. It's not just a one-word answer, is it? Unfortunately.
What interests you? Yes, gaming, but what is it? Is it the software setup? Is it the interaction with your mates online, or interacting with other people from around the world? There is so much more you can say rather than just gaming. But think about what else you can do, or you've got I'd like to take this up, or I'd like to do this. There's got to be more than just a one-word answer.
Yeah, absolutely. And then the next one on your list was, kind of covered that already. It's to contact local companies yourself. Don't get your mum to do it. And that is a confidence and experience thing. No one's going to bite your head off or shout and scream at you for asking if you've got a job role. The worst that can happen, and this happens a lot, Ceri's already said it, you won't hear anything back at all. So get yourself out there and make those contacts yourselves. And then you've got on there to follow up any contact with a phone call. So that's a really good one, because in today's modern world where it's all Instagram DMs and WhatsApp messages, getting on the actual phone and speaking to someone, that's a great tip.
We're so busy. As you know, you're here one minute, you're there next. You can see an email pop in, or you can see a message coming through, and it can get lost in the ether. And that's not because we're being mean or anything. We're just really busy. So sometimes it's helpful, sometimes it's not. Just to have a follow-up phone call. I have had one person that rang me like 10 times in 5 minutes. I'm like, I'm busy. So there's keen, and then there's like harassing. But don't just send one email and leave it at that, because there could be any number of reasons why you haven't heard back from it, and it might not be the case that there's nothing available. Always follow up any correspondence with some sort of additional contact.
Yeah, I would agree with that. I think we said before, making kind of contact with people through social media, because we're all on there, we're all on the Twitter and Instagram and whatever. You can do that, you can follow the account, see what the people are doing, maybe engage in some of the chat. But speaking to someone on a phone is one of the oldest things that has gone on in business since the dawn of time, and it's one of the best things you can do. If you can speak to a key decision maker and get some, even if it's feedback and tips and help understanding who might else be employing in that area, they'll give you more of the time of day while you're on the phone than they will on a direct message or an email. That's just fact. You've also got on there to ask about potential trial days and work experience. So putting yourself forward, I guess, if you rather than hitting up for an apprenticeship, you could say, if you've got an opportunity for me to come and see what working as an electrician's like, I'm really interested in a career. And that's something that someone could do. That's a good tip.
The as I said, that's something that we do, which is second nature to us. We would always get somebody on board for a trial day, and there's no harm in asking for a trial day or for a day's work experience. You can learn so much about it. I mean, if these individuals haven't had any time on site or working alongside an electrician or shadowing them, they might not actually realize that it's not the career that they want to pursue. They just think, oh yeah, I'll do that. And then when you actually see that it's long hours, it's quite difficult thinking, you're here, there and everywhere, they might actually be like, oh no, I'd rather be a plumber.
Heaven forbid. But yeah, you're right. You've not had any real work experience as such then, and it might all sound brilliant when you've read it in a prospectus or you've seen one of your older mates who were doing it, but until you actually step out onto onto that job site and take a look at what it actually looks like,
Exactly.
you don't know, do you? So if you can get a bit of work experience, and it's a really good way to build a rapport with a local employer as well, because lots of time showing that level of interest and keenness would give you good footing for any future job positions.
Experience helps on the CV, doesn't it? If you volunteered to help out a local company on a project, even if it is stripping cables or sorting out stock or anything like that, it's experience. It's something that can go on your CV to say, this, I've gone that step further to show how much I want to get into the industry.
Yep, brilliant tip. And the next few ones are kind of around what we've said already with the answering your phone, sounding interested, replying and stuff. But the next one after that is to avoid text slang. And that's something that bugs me as well, because I get that such a lot on DMs. And I know I'm not the employer, I'm just some geezer who's trying to help people find work. But I get loads of the text slang, and I don't know what a lot of it means, to be honest. So it's not just the case of it seeming a bit lazy for us older folks. We don't understand a lot of that sometimes. So lay out in clear English what it is you're trying to convey.
Yeah, it's I have had to say to a couple, can you remember that I'm a potential employer, so try not to talk to me as your mate, because no one wants to become over friendly from the outset, because that's just a challenge in itself for the future.
Yeah, it's how we communicate with our customers as well, isn't it? I think that's a good thing to instill in people when they are coming into a company. There's certain aspects that are required when you are going to communicate, and yeah, doing it in text slang is not the way forward until you're on much better terms.
Yeah.
So yeah, good tip. Do your homework, check out the company and their website. That is one of my big tips as well. That's something that everybody should be doing. Understand the company you're trying to get a job with.
Yeah, I think that it's all very well, and I do appreciate that there's a lot of individuals that are emailing out en masse to people, but when you check these companies out that you're applying for, try and just take something that you found interesting when you send that initial email in. It might be that you talk about their latest social media post, or I saw that fault that you found on site, that looked really interesting, how did you overcome that? I saw that you were working in Scotland last week, how long did it take to get up there? You know, something that shows that they've gone out of their way to look at your company, rather than I'm looking for an electrical apprenticeship and I've applied everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I can see it from that point of view from the apprentice when they are sending out so many applications. But as you say, if you want to get the best return from that, you put the effort in.
Yeah.
And rather than sending out 100 random generic emails to 100 different email addresses you found on Facebook, focus in on 10 or 15 and really put some time and effort into drilling into what those companies are like. I know if you go and look on the Crannis Tech website, it actually has the whole team on there. So you could say you want to work towards being like some of the guys and girls who are already employed in that business. So there's all sorts of things. If you go on my website, it shows we do EV installs. You could start asking about electric vehicles. There's all sorts of avenues to build discussion and show that, as Ceri said, you've actually made an effort to check out what we do. Next one is to create a social media profile, highlighting your interests, some in the field videos and clips. And that's one of the things that I said, because I know I'm going to mention Craig Gallagher now. He runs Quinergy up in Scotland, and he's big on this. He likes people to have a social media presence, and he will pay more attention to that than he will a traditional CV. So lots of employers will approach recruitment in a different way. So if you can have as many bases covered, it's opening more doors for yourself. So that is a really good one you can do.
On your video when you said about it, and I hadn't even considered them utilizing modern technology to do that. I absolutely love that, because it's such a fantastic way of showing that they are engaged in digital technology. And what better way for us to see you?
You're still there?
It's gone.
I can see you and I can hear you.
The screen went blank.
Oh, okay.
What better way for us to see you than this profile that you've built up over, 6-8 months, a year, to show what you found interesting about electrics in different scenarios, or what you've read. A fantastic idea.
Yeah, and I got that idea from apprentices who were doing it on Instagram. That's where I first saw it. There's a few guys and girls on there who were building up profiles for themselves while they don't actually have jobs. They're trying to showcase what they can do at college, and also bits of work experience they've had. And if you can document that, Instagram's an ideal platform for it, because you can do videos and pictures. Yeah, really good thing to do. And then you can send that off to an employer, even if you sit talking to camera for maybe a minute, just about yourself. You know, it gives a bit of insight. It gives you a chance to grab the attention of an employer. So that's something that I would recommend to do. Promote yourself, but don't be arrogant. Kind of, we covered that earlier on, and there is a fine line to it where you can explain your strengths, but without showing off that you're going to be the solution to all problems and be sat in Ceri's chair doing her job in 5 weeks' time.
Well, even when you go out on site with the guys, they are the qualified electricians. So don't waltz in thinking that you are better than them, because they will put you in your place. So it's a kindness, it's a kind thing to actually say that although they might have an interest in it, they still have an awful lot to learn. So they need to be a bit understanding of how much they've got to learn. Yeah,
definitely. Having the passion for it, but without being too arrogant and self-confident, I think is definitely a good tip. And showing your appreciation as well. Thank you goes a long way. Definitely love that. So yeah, it's such a nice thing to do in any circumstance. But when you're trying to get a job from someone, just being polite helps a lot.
It does, because even if you're on a domestic property and a customer asks if you want a biscuit or something, we'd expect them to say yes please or no thank you, because it's just common decency. Don't be rude to anybody.
This is it. And once you get into the swing of things, you'll realize if you get offered biscuits, you say yes every time regardless. So that's one of the top tips you'll learn from the qualified electricians when you're out working with them. So definitely P's and Q's are important. And we love it if people ask questions, definitely. So showing an interest and asking. We love to talk shop and love to learn about you. And if you're asking us questions and getting us involved in a chat, that is a brilliant thing to do.
Yeah. That's the first thing I ask the guys when they've had them on trial. What were they like? Did they ask any questions? And even when I'm sending the program for their trial through, I say on it, make sure you ask questions, see what they're doing, ask them about it if you're not too sure what they're doing, to try and give them as many tips as you can before they have that opportunity. But if they just stand there and just do as they're told and aren't showing any initiative or passion, do we want somebody that's not passionate about the subject? Probably not.
It shows they're comfortable to ask when they're not sure as well. That's one of the things that the apprentices in my company do all the time, to the point sometimes it gets annoying, but they do ask so many questions. And it's a really good thing to do, because we want the confidence as an employer to know you're not just going to go off and try and guess something or figure it out on your own. If you're not sure, you're going to ask that question. You're not supposed to know. You're supposed to feel comfortable to ask. So definitely.
I always think in my head, your phrase, and I can't do an accent, but when you say you don't know what you don't know.
That's from a bit further north than I live, that one. But yeah, you really don't know what you don't know.
So it's okay to say I what's going on here. That's fine. We're open to that. But if you're showing an interest in saying, I don't know what you're doing, but why are you doing it? How are you doing it? It shows that you've got a little something special about you.
Definitely. And the next one on your list is another thing that would help in that as well. So it says, do something that makes you stand out from others. Your ECS card, CITB one-day course, PAT testing, a part-time job. So doing something that was relevant to getting a job in the electrical industry, definitely should be making an effort to do that if you can.
Yeah, definitely. One of the first questions we ask anybody is, have you got an ECS card? And I appreciate if they're straight out of school, it's going to be difficult to get. But if we are going to take them on, it's not going to be a negative thing if they haven't got one, because we can go through that process. But even if they've looked at the exam questions and they've been studying for the ECS assessment, then that shows that there's a willingness and there's an initiative being shown about, they know they're going to need to do this assessment. which is great.
I think that that's something that schools and employers could work more joined up on, to let people know that's something that they would need, because again, you don't know what you don't know, but there's lots of people who are in school who won't have a clue about that at all. So, you know, having those discussions of employers going into school and education and speaking with people and saying, you know, if you want to come and work out on site, having this, or at least, you know, understanding what you're expected to do there is a good tip for anyone to do. Definitely.
Swindon College was saying that they don't talk about the ECS card because the program doesn't require them to talk about it. And our reasoning was, well, so what? If that's what employers are going to want from them, encourage it. You don't have to focus a long time on it, but just say, if you're looking to go into the commercial and industrial sector, you're going to need to pass, you know, your ECS card. Most of the good ones out there have got their cards and are proud of them. It's the thing that shows everybody what level you've got to. I think it's something that they can do without actually. They don't need to spend any time on it really, but mention it a couple of times.
Exactly, because you're not going to get on site to do the job with the rest of the team if you don't have it. It's as simple as that. And, you know, I think it's a good thing to instill into people from the very early days is about the ECS card. You know, whether we like it or not, a good percentage of all of the commercial and industrial sites around the country, you're going to have one to get through the doors. So, you know, let people know about it. If you want a job with an employer in that space, you're going to need it regardless. So it makes sense for the college to cover that off, to be honest. The fact they're not is a bit worrying. Be professional. The time for larking about has passed. You have to be sensible on site. That is so true as well, because you know, it's a dangerous place to work site. It can be if you're overconfident and not paying attention and messing around. So yeah, those days are gone when you're at work. It's not the school playground. And
you'll see from the guys doing their little dancing, we can have a laugh and a joke on site, but there isn't a day that passes where we're not aware of ourselves and aware of our health and safety requirements. But if you come in and you're not paying attention, you're a bit spaced out, you're on your phone looking down, not paying attention to around you, you just, you know, it's just not going to work.
No, it's not. And you can impact the rest of the team's safety as well from doing that. So you definitely need to be focused and professional, and it's not a time for messing about and being distracted. So yeah, definitely adjust your mindset, because when you go to school, you focus in your lessons, and as soon as that little bit's finished, you're off doing what you please on your phone, talking to your mates. When you're at work and you've finished a particular task, you're going to find your mentor for a next thing to do. It's not,
you don't just sit around and wait.
No,
get up, be proactive.
Exactly, that is something.
Made a mess, sweep it up.
A lot of apprentices go on that journey, and I was exactly the same. When I started, you kind of do what you were asked to do and then sit waiting for someone else to give you something else to do, and really that's not how the world of work works. So you soon figure that out. It doesn't take too long. But yes, definitely be professional on site. Be you. The right company will feel like family. It has to be the right fit for both parties. I couldn't agree more. There is no point faking yourself to fit, because you'll just end up miserable.
It's so important. There has to be the right balance. It's not, when we're interviewing, it's not the fact that we are seeing if you're right for us. It's can we all work together? So when we do our trials, we'll try and make sure that the individual works with a number of the team. So we're not just getting one person's opinion, followed up by the interview, and we sort of know then how suitable they're going to be. But it's an apprenticeship is 3-4 years. You need to know that you're going to be able to get on with these people, because you spend so much of your working week, so much of your week with them, that if you don't like them, if you don't get on well with them, it's going to be horrible.
Yeah, the wheels will soon fall off. And that's one of the reasons a lot of employers like yourself are careful at the beginning to have that work trial and that sampling of things, because you're trying to get a successful outcome for everybody at the end. That's what it's all about. Nobody wants to see apprentices drop out and not make it. That's the last thing anybody wants. It benefits nobody. So making sure everyone's putting an effort in at the beginning to get those things in order. It's a fantastic thing to do. It's what we should all be doing, really.
Yeah. And the other thing is, we don't also want apprentices from like bunny hopping from different companies. Oh, I don't like it here, I'll go somewhere else. Because each time that it takes to onboard somebody costs time, money, effort. So when you are looking for that right company, can I stay here for 4 years? Can I stay here? Can I give them the next 5 years of my working career? Because if you can't say yes to that, then you need to.
Yeah, and it's a common circumstance. I could probably go in my Instagram DMs right now, and there'll be a message from someone today who's saying that, you know, I don't like where I'm working, and it's not for me. The employers are horrible, and I want a job somewhere else. Is there anything in wherever town they live where I can apply? So, you know, it is a case of onboarding at the beginning and being honest from both sides to get that fit right. Because sometimes it can feel like you're performing to get into that job role because that's your focus. But long term, if it's going to make you miserable, it's a pointless effort. You need to make sure it fits for everybody.
The thing that I thought about after McDonald's boy came up was, like, the big companies like McDonald's, they will take anyone and everyone, and they will have such a high turnover. So they probably don't have to try that hard to get a job there. But for most electrical firms that are taking on apprentices, it's our own business. We're small. The time it's going to take, we haven't got, you know, millions behind us to back us. So it's knowing the market. You know, obviously, if you go for a big player, then they may be able to take on 20 odd apprentices, but most of them will be small, medium enterprises, which are need to be careful.
Yeah, it's a big deal for us as employees. It really is. It's not something we do lightly. It's a lot of responsibility that we take very seriously, and we want to make sure we get that fit right. And even the larger companies, I know that they do skills test days. So they'll have people come in and do their interviews and then give them little tests of electrical accessories to put together and things, and, you know, just see how people get on with the practical side of things. So there are, you know, those efforts made right across industry, I think, to make sure the fit is right from the beginning. It doesn't always work out. Of course it couldn't, but, you know, to make the best effort at the beginning is something that we should definitely do.
Yeah.
What else have we got here? It's ask for feedback. So even if you're not successful, the experience will be valuable. And I agree with that as well, because for every job role, there is lots and lots of people chasing that same position, and you might not get it, and it's no fault of your own. There was just a candidate that fits better at that time. So getting a bit of feedback of where you can improve, if it's some skills you need to get in place, or, you know, different approach you could have taken, it's beneficial feedback. It's not criticism.
Yeah. And as adults, it's quite normal for us to go for a job and ask for feedback either way, to know our positioning. So these individuals at the age of 16, it's okay to ask for feedback. Why didn't I get it? Well, you sounded more interested in getting a job at McDonald's, and that's fine. I wish you every success, but we needed somebody that's going to be passionate about the industry. And I'm not saying it maliciously or nastily. It's just the feedback, so that when you're in that position next time, think about how you're presenting yourself.
Yeah, I mean, we do that in business, don't we? If you miss out on a tender or a contract or whatever, you ask the question, you know, what was the reason we didn't get success on this one? Is there a different approach we could have taken? Because it's valuable. And that's the same for an apprentice. If you're trying to get a job, the feedback is valuable, so ask for it. Most employers will give you it 9 times out of 10, I would have said, if you've been through the application process and been speaking with them. Yeah. Every opportunity is a learning opportunity, and I guess that kind of fits in with what we just said there as well, isn't it?
Yeah, because obviously through our process, if you've gone through the point of contact, if you've had the trial program, if you've had any dealings or conversations with the person in charge, the time on site, there is so much that you can take from a single day, and by going through the process of sending your email, following it up, having an interview, there is so much you can learn that if it all goes to pot, you know, for next time what to do differently.
Yeah.
You should do.
Yeah, you should do. If you paid attention, definitely you should do.
If you're completely clueless at the end of the time, that why haven't they gone for me because I'm amazing, then that's when you do need to definitely ask for feedback, because that might be the one thing that can change the answer for the next person.
Yeah, it really could. It really could. So ask the question. And one of the last things you've popped on there is to do with your English and maths and needing at least level 5s. And I guess for this year's school leavers, it's too late because they've taken their exams. But for the ones coming next year, I think that's another thing that we can share more widely into schools, because that's not discussed enough. There's often the focus on A levels and getting into sixth forms, and you know, that it's seen as if you don't get to that place, we can direct you towards the trades, when that's not the case. You need to be still achieving well at your GCSEs to get an opportunity in a trades role. So making sure you understand that, and do not apply if you're after an easy ride. It's so true. It's not an easy career.
It's not, and I'm not even technical, but it's a hard slog. It's absolutely typical for our guys on their way home from a trial program. The individual is zonked out. They are shattered by the end of a working day. If they think that, oh, you know, being a tradesperson is easy, it's definitely not the right profession for you. It's long hours traveling. You're going to get dirty and sweaty. Sometimes it's going to be like hard proper graft. It's not easy.
No, it's not. It's enjoyable, but it's hard work. And that's the other aspect to this as well, that there's apprentice roles away from just being, you know, facing the field, if you like, out on site. There's roles as designers and in offices. I think you were speaking with Gary on his podcast about potentially taking someone on to help you with the office and admin as your business grows. You know, we've done that as well. So there is other avenues you can go down if you are interested in the electrical industry, but you don't fancy the graft out on site. It's massive. It's a huge industry, and there's roles for everybody. So don't just think it is just going out and hitting holes in walls and throwing cables in places, because it's not.
There was actually, I went to a networking event in London with the ECA, and I met one of the managers from Edmondson's, and they were saying they are desperate for people with business knowledge or wanting to go into business apprenticeship, because they're not wanting somebody that's an electrician, but they want somebody with the business know-how or the ability to apply themselves in that way. So there is definitely the wholesalers and the manufacturers and things, and even us, we do need administration support. So it's not, if it's not right for you on site, there is other possibilities for you. But again, don't think the admin's easy.
Not if it's test sheets. It's not. If you're the person unlucky enough to be given a pile of those, it's actually one of the hardest, most boring jobs you can get doing the electrical work. We have that much paperwork. It's unbelievable. So if you do have a passion for paperwork and you really like it, there's a role for you 100%.
Definitely. I've got a stack of 100 to do today.
It's crazy, isn't it, when you think about it sometimes? Ceri's put this lovely list together. It really is very good. I'm gonna tag along to that if she's gonna let me, because we'll pop our logo on there as well. I'll share links to it. We'll get it on social media and onto the Apprentice One-to-One website as well. So if anyone wants to look and read through it, there's some really good tips to go alongside this podcast as well. And as always, I'll pop a link to Ceri's social media in the description of this video, so you can go and get in touch with her. You know, she's currently looking for an electrical apprentice. So if you are in the Swindon area and you're watching this, then definitely get in touch with Ceri. Is there anything else you want to speak about this afternoon while we're on with this, Ceri?
Not sure.
No.
Do you think we need to cover anything else?
No, I think we've given a good overview there to help, in particular, school leavers, because that's one of the things that I think is missing in a lot of places. We're not I don't think it's so much the trade as such either. It's just a disconnect, I think, between school, colleges and employers. So us making this little effort today might help in a small way and encourage some others to do the same as well, because it needs more voices in this discussion as well. Getting other people's opinions and ideas. I only share what I think based on, my experience. Someone else might think entirely differently. But if employers aren't speaking up, no one's going to know.
Exactly.
So that's one of the things I
Can
think
you say it again?
Yeah, you don't know what you don't know. So.
Love it.
I am currently trying to get your husband to come on and speak on the Apprentice 1-to-1 podcast. Mr. Crannis.
Mr. Crannis.
Because I think sharing stories such as Darren's with a lot of young people would be quite inspiring as well. But obviously, he'll have some hoops to jump through. So if you can give him a shove in the right direction for us.
Yeah, I'll mention it. I'll mention it. He's going to be sorting the kids out soon. So I'll mention it for him to get in touch. But I think they have to go through some process of seeing.
Yeah, I'm sure he will do in his role. But it would be lovely to share that story with the apprentices in this community, because he's had quite a good career, to be fair to him. Yeah. Even if he does wear silly pink shoes.
I love those shoes.
Thanks for taking the time to come and talk to me again today, Ceri. As always, it's appreciated. You are welcome back whenever you want.
Thank you.
Everyone who's watching, if you've got any questions, drop them in the comments below, and we will see you on the next episode of the Apprentice 1-to-1 podcast.
Bye.
Thank you for listening to the latest episode of the Apprentice 1-to-1 podcast, sponsored by Schneider Electric. Please like and subscribe to the channel, get involved with the comments, and we will see you on the next one.